Hey everybody, this is Mr. Storm, and I'm reviewing this project, and I'm like, you know what, this is going to be the final video in the episode or in this series, and this is the final part of the project, and I'm thinking, you know what, I hope we don't have a whole lot to do, and I'm going through the project, and I'm noticing that we've literally written everything except for these two methods right here. And these are really, really easy methods to implement. So yeah, we've the main method is super easy, or the main class, sorry, is super easy. We're just calling the start game method from the main class. That's it. Our character superclass is done. We don't need to add anything to that. The enemy class, that's finished now that we have the calculations for attack and defend. We have our enemy constructor set up properly. Everything's good there. Our player is the same thing. We have that all set up, ready to go. I don't see any issues here. I'm looking at my notes to see if we missed anything that we need for the functionality of this program. No, I mean, the player class is good. Story, let's check out story. Yeah, all of that is done. So we literally only have, like I said, these two methods to write, and they're actually pretty simple. So let's go ahead and finish these up really quickly. And then I'll kind of go over some ways you can modify this and make it your own. So hopefully you've been following along with exactly what I'm doing, writing all of the same things. If you try to modify variable names and whatnot, it can cause problems later on whenever you're trying to link these systems together. But once it's completely finished and it's all working, then you can get to the point where you can go in and modify the story, change the all of the math for the different calculations for battling, change the enemy types, and all of that stuff. You can make changes to it, modifications to it, but you'll have plenty of time to do that. Let's talk about this final battle. So our normal battle is our main battle method, which we worked on for the bulk of the last video. It's kind of a beefy method. It has a lot of stuff going on here. The only difference, though, is with the final battle, we want to pass in a very specific enemy, which is the Evil Emperor. And then we want to print the end of the story whenever we've defeated the Evil Emperor. And then we want to set our isRunning Boolean variable to false, meaning the game is over. So it's actually pretty easy. There's really only 3 lines of code that we need. So first we need to call that battle method that we worked on last time. We're going to give it a new enemy. And this enemy is going to be the Evil Emperor. Okay. And the enemy requires not only the name, but also the XP. All right. So we're going to pass in, we'll say 300 for the Evil Emperor. All right. So now we've created a new enemy and we're doing battle with that enemy. When the battle is over, we want to call the story print end method, and we'll pass in the player object into that. And then we want to set isRunning to false. So again, that's this entire final battle method. Because we've done so much work in this battle method, then it's just as simple as calling that method but passing in a different enemy type. Okay, and we can call this final battle whenever we get to that point in the game loop, which, let's see, when is that going to be called? That is being handled by our check act method, I believe. Let's see. That's all battle, random battle, take rest. Oh, so random battle. Yeah. Take rest, shop, character info, continue journey, random encounter. There we go. So that is in our check act method. Basically, when we get to the end of the game, if your XP is above 50 or 50 or above, then we change it to Act 4. We change our place. We print the act intro, trait, blah, 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 blah. And then we call the final battle, which is that final act. Okay, so perfect. All right. Now we need to handle what happens when the player dies. The player dying is actually pretty easy, especially because all we really have to do is just put a message on the screen saying, hey, you died, and then set is running to false. So this is actually really simple, to be honest with you. So clear console. I probably should have had you write these two methods last time in the last video, but we were getting really close to like 40 minutes in that last video. So I kind of panicked and shut everything down, but that's fine. It's nice to have a little bit of breathing room this week. We're going to print heading, and we'll say you died. It's a super chipper message. And then we're going to print another heading, and we'll say you earned, let's say you earned player.xp, XP on your journey. Try to earn more next time. All right. So that's basically going to be like your high score, essentially, right? Telling people how many XP that they've earned, because that's kind of like the currency that tracks our progress through the game. All right, we'll say is running equals false. Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone else, that is it. That's the whole thing. That's the whole kit and caboodle. That's the entire enchilada. That's quite a bit, right? I mean, just this one class itself is over 400 lines of code. Some of these are kind of little baby classes like this, just like one line of code actually. But this is a very complicated project, but it's solidifying a lot of those skills that you learned in Computer Programming 1 and also adding in the new skills that we're learning in this class. Things like accessing new classes, accessing classes from other classes, creating public and private methods that can only be, either can be accessed by other classes or only internally to the class that you're in. Using things like superconstructors and inheritance and polymorphism and yada, 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 and all this stuff that we've been doing. Let's talk about how to modify this. Now, in my opinion, it may not be worth it to modify variable names at this point. Here's what I mean. Let's say if you don't want them to have potions or rests or whatever, right? Let's say instead of rests, you're going to call it hybernetic, or, you're making it like a sci-fi game and you want this to be like, sleeping in a hyperbaric chamber, right? I wouldn't change the name of the variable. I would only change the user-facing parts, right? Anything that has a print heading or you're printing something onto the screen, I would only change it there, right? So instead of saying you have this many rests left, you can say something like you can rest in a hyperbaric chamber for this many times or whatever. Same thing with enemy names and whatnot. You can definitely change anything that is user-facing. I wouldn't change anything internal. For example, one thing that I've seen students do is they'll go in here to like attack upgrades and defense upgrades, and they want to change those to something else. But then they'll forget to change it here and here and here and here. And like it gets really messy, right? To try to change all of these everywhere else. So instead of just changing these, just change the user-facing stuff so that it matches more what you're looking for. Now, the biggest modifications that can be made are obviously to the story, right? You don't want to use the same story as I used, most likely, right? You want to write your own story. That's why we do things in computer science, so we can be creative and show off our own creativity. And quite frankly, I'm kind of excited to see your own creativity come through in this project. So I would definitely rewrite what's in these intro and outro messages, so that it kind of matches the story that you're trying to tell. The other thing that you can do is, let's go to enemy. Actually, no, it's going to be in our game logic. So the other thing you can do is in our check act method. Here we go. In check act, we have a list of enemies that will randomly be populated based on the act that we're in, right? Those can all change, obviously. You can easily change all of those. You can change up the ratio of battle versus shop. You can change up the ratios of, rests versus whatever. All of that stuff can be changed for sure. But again, I would recommend not changing variables because variable names are going to be linked to whenever you're using them. I also wouldn't change method names either because those method names are going to be, if you change it in one place, you have to find every other instance where you've used it in this big program and try to change it there. But let me go ahead and test my game out, make sure it's running. Now, I'm imagining you're going to spend quite a bit of time troubleshooting because this is kind of a big project. I've tried my best to make sure we don't write spaghetti code, and I've tried to add comments wherever I think they're necessary so that we can understand what everything is meaning and what everything is doing as we go back and try to troubleshoot. But if you're having really big issues troubleshooting your projects and you need some help, please let me know and I'll come by and take a look at it. All right, so Age of the Evil Emperor, type anything to continue. What is your name? David. Is this correct? Yes. All right, anything to continue. I'm going to choose strength. Okay. All right, so I have 0 XP. I need 5 XP. Let's continue. Do you want to take a rest? No. All right, continue. I've encountered an evil creature. I will have to fight it. Cool, so we're going to see our battle method working here. All right, so it's a goblin. It has 5 HP. I'm going to fight it. All right, battle. I dealt 1 damage to the goblin. The goblin dealt 0 damage to me. Good. All right, let's fight it again. I dealt 0, but the goblin dealt 1, so he's getting his 2 damage to the goblin. All right, so he has 2 HP left. Okay. Nice. All right, so I defeated the goblin and earned 2 XP. So now I have 2 XP. I need 5 XP to move on. I'm gonna just quickly get to the next. I just want to show you what happens whenever we get through. So 3 XP. Oh, I don't want to buy one. Oh, this goblin has 7 HP. So you can see how they're variable, how some of the random number generator things are helping us to create some variation in the game. Ooh, I dealt 4 damage to the goblin. That was nice. Okay. Oh, come on. 1 more XP. 8. I'm fighting an ogre. 5 damage. Woo, I hit him hard. Okay. So now I have 5 XP. I need 15 to move on. So I'm going to hit 1 to continue my journey. And I get the Act 1 outro. You did it. You crossed the everlasting mountains and you are still alive. Enter anything to continue. Now I get to choose a new trait because I've leveled up. I've moved to the next area. I'm going to choose Heavy Bones. Act 2 intro. I cross. You're still alive. All right. So now this is my shop method that's popping up. I met a mysterious stranger. He's asking me to buy. Let's try to buy a potion. You don't have enough gold. Okay. So then we'll just continue. So now I'm in the Haunted Swamp. I need 15 XP to move on, so I can just continue my journey. I found an evil creature. So and now I'm fighting a wolf pack. So that is the structure of our game. You're going to continue playing until you reach the final boss, or until you die, right? So At this point, my game's working properly. You can tell it will take quite a while. Excuse me, I got the coffee burps. You can tell it'll take quite a while to get through this game, but that's the point of it, right? We wanted to make it an adventure. We want to make it challenging. We want to add some strategy, but it is still very simple. It's a very simple game loop, but this simple game loop, you can see, has a ton of programming that goes into it. Hopefully you're starting to kind of gain an appreciation for some of the more advanced projects you've seen people complete, and you're understanding kind of what goes into building something as complex as, a text adventure game. Anyway, I've had fun with this project. Hopefully you guys did too. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you in the next video.